I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this is not a build guide. It is, however, a new unique that was revealed. Nightfall. It looks like it's going to drop from Tull, so that'll be endgame breach stuff. But it has this really cool ability, Soaring Midnight. Well, first of all, it's got some cold res, it's got fire and lightning damage taken as cold, which is nice, but it's got Soaring Midnight, which you hurl your shield as a projectile, it returns to you at the end of its flight. While it is in flight, it is replaced, so you can recast it to Embrace the Fall. We don't see the numbers on that, but the cooldown is skipped if you catch the shield or if you destroy an ice crystal. But importantly, this has the slam tag. Slam, ice crystal. Well, what are we going to do with that? Well, in order to do anything with that, we need to create ice crystals. My first thought, there's obviously Frost Wall, which you can just cast, but I feel like a perhaps more useful ability would be Frozen Locust. You throw this in a quarterstaff on your weapon swap, which would be scaled around attack speed. There might be other stuff you can do with this just to make it functional, but the thought would be that you leap backwards, you call forth an ice crystal, you then immediately throw your shield over, and then once your shield is above the ice crystal, you slam down on it, big explosion. Obviously, this isn't a build guide, duh, so there's no numbers that I can give you. I don't know if it's better to go for the reduced ice crystal life. I believe the more life they have, the more damage they do, but if you're just using them to destroy the ice crystals with Embrace the Fall in order to reset the cooldown, then what you would just want them to have as low health as possible. There is also the possibility of just a 4-second cooldown, so you just lower that as much as possible. You can just throw it, but keep in mind,
We waged war to get war like a breach lord. Nightfall gives you the opportunity to wage war like a breach lord.
That looks way cooler than just throwing it out. Now, there was also this thing. This has, depending on what this roll is, 285 up to 909 armor. And the skill has 7 to 11 added physical damage per 15 armor on shield. And then it converts 50% of the physical damage to cold. I'm being very quiet in this video, by the way, because it is quite late at night. But they just released this. It also has a decent base offhand physical damage. I'm going to be honest with you. I do not know, so I will look it up right now. If there are ways on the tree to increase the armor on your shield, I imagine not. I imagine there might be ways to increase the armor from your shield, but not on your shield. Okay, that appears to be the case. You would just have to take your shield right here, give it as much quality as possible, and then just vol it and hope for high numbers on the percent armor, because that is damage, and as the fire and lightning damage taken is cold, those are just nice to have. Allows you to go high on the cold defense. Block chance is nice as well. But that leads to the question, what ascendancy do we go for? There's the obvious option of Invoker, because I love Monk, where you would go for I Am the Blizzard, cold damage on freezing enemies create chilled ground, and I Shall Rage for Unbound Avatar. There's something to be said about Lead Me Through Grace. You get a bunch of extra spirit, but this is based on energy shield and evasion rating from your body armor, which you'd go for energy shield and evasion on your body armor, but then you're going for armor on your shield. I don't know if really stacking all three is a good idea. And then And Protect Me from Harm doesn't remove your armor, but it makes it so that your armor is not necessarily as important for physical damage reduction. Obviously, I Am Thunder, but that's for lightning damage, and we're all going for cold. Faith is a choice. I don't remember what Meditate does. Soul Spring's Eternal Meta skills could be very good for this, as it could be nice to not even do the quarterstaff idea, and instead just throw out the shield to have the meta skills that throw out Frost Wall. And then once the Frost Wall is out, you can slam down, so that could be good for meta skills. You could have critical hits to ignore some elemental resistances, that could be nice, and you could have the elemental expressions. Now, I don't exactly know what Meditate does, which allows you to recharge energy shield. You can also overflow it, not super useful. Elemental expression is basically just your wild strike, I believe, from PoE 1. So Invoker's a possibility, but I don't really think it would be that good. Mostly it would be for the meta skills and for the cold and unbound avatar, which does leave you with one node. You'd go, I am the Blizzard and I shall rage, as well as the Soul Springs Eternal. Then you'd probably just go sunder my enemies and go for crits, and then don't worry anything about lowering resistances. Or getting penetration, really. I don't know if ignoring resistances happens before penetration. Next option, of course, is Stormweaver. Don't know why I really closed that out. That would just be nice for additional chills. That could be okay. All damage from hits contributes to chill magnitude. Not very necessary. This is all physical converted to cold. I guess there would be some extra physical that Shape of Winter could help for. I don't really know if elemental infusions would be useful at all for this. The lightning maybe would. You could go for all damage from hits contributes to shock. That will just get you some free shock with this build. Arcane Surge is not super necessary, though Force of Will could be nice. I believe there are some things that can give you additional buffs for Arcane Surge, but I don't think it's that good for attacks. And then, of course, Elemental Storm on critical hit with spells and limit for elemental spells is useless. Stormweaver is very unlikely, though you could go Heavy Snows, Strike Twice, Shaper of Storms, maybe Shaper of Winter as well, maybe the infusion stuff if there's something to do there, but I doubt it. Obviously, could go for Titan. Titan is the nice thing, the slams. Slams have a chance to cause an additional aftershock. Every second slam is ancestrally boosted. I actually don't know what ancestrally boosted does in this game. 30% more damage and 25% more area of effect on slams. That is nice. They also count as being empowered for certain things like that. Then you have your other nodes. More armor from good body armor could always be good. The extra inventory slots plus increased effect of small passives could be good. More life could be good. More damage against heavy stunned enemies, and your hits are crushing blows. And every third slam that doesn't create fissures, which this did not appear to, which you use yourself, which you do, causes 3 additional aftershocks ahead and to each side of the initial area. That could be nice for clearing, and maybe with enough AoE, you could get some overlap. There's also some more slam stuff you could do. You couldn't use, for example, your Hrimnor's Hymn, even though it gets the new upgraded version with a ton of base damage, because it is two-handed, so you would not be able to use that with Titan. Warbringer, Jade for additional physical damage reduction could be okay. You don't care about totems. Break armor, equal to 10% of hit damage dealt. And fully broken armor increases all damage taken from hits. That could be good. You can also break enemy armor below 0. 35% base chance to block from equipped shield instead of the shield's value. And up to, maximum block of 75, but you take some damage. And Warcries explode corpses and ignore their cooldowns. That could be nice. For the 35% base chance to block from equipped shield, I do not know if that works in this game. This shield clearly has it has 19% increased block chance here, which brings it up to 30. So that would mean what? It is high 20s. So depending on this roll, that could be a little bit of extra base block chance. I don't believe that this would add to it. It does say base block. I think that means before modifiers external to the shield. I don't know. But you could do Warbringer, which would give you some good block stuff and good penetration from armor break. And then, of course, there's Smith of Kitava. Smith of Kitava is just kind of nice there to have. Similar to how Chieftain in Path of Exile 1 is just nice. You can do Coal Stoker and Forged in Flames to just get really good elemental damage reduction here. And then I guess you could potentially do Smith's Masterwork with some of these things in here. Perhaps just getting armor applies to elemental damage, for example. The 75 fire res with these 2 nodes. I don't believe there's anything for slams here. No, maybe the chaos damage as well. Temper weapon, manifest weapon, I don't think you'd really care for those. This empowers your main hand melee weapon, and it's about fire and whatnot. So I don't think Smith of Kitava is really a good idea. Full Stoker into Forged and Flame would be the two useful nodes, but then since Smith Masterwork means you can only use a normal body armor, doesn't seem great. I think most likely, if I were to go Warrior, it would probably be Titan for the slams stuff. I'm, of course, making an assumption here.
Opportunity to wage war like a breach lord.
That is the Aftershock. I actually don't know. I have not done slams in Path of Exile 2 yet. Anyway, there's also another thing revealed in this video, but I didn't really care for it. It's the new crossbow, which also comes with a new crossbow base type. That is, this crossbow specifically is all about grenades. Let me scroll a little bit farther so you can see what explosive fervor even is. You cannot load or fire ammunition, but you're big on grenades. This one specifically has some pretty good base damage, but no crit bonus, and some reduced CDR, but you gain 1 explosive rhythm every second grenade skill you use. And whenever you reach 10, so after 20 grenade skills, you get explosive fervor for 10 seconds. This causes your grenade skills to ignore cooldown, fire an additional projectile, and explode on impact, as well as gaining 15% increased attack speed per different grenade skill you've used. I don't know anything about grenades. This didn't really stick out to me. I thought the shield was really cool, though. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit. But like I said before, and like I'll say again, this is not a build guide. Build guides aren't real. They can't hurt you. But, I was going to say, but I can. I can't hurt you either. I don't know where you live. Anyway, I'm still going to start with the monk. Both this and the staff are going to be endgame items. Reading through some of the comments and looking at stuff, I believe the staff is probably going to be from Ritual. I thought Delirium because it looked like glass mirrors, but also it's crows, so endgame Ritual would make sense. This from endgame Breach makes sense. But this could be an interesting build to do with slams, something to cause you to cast Frost Wall with a meta skill. In fact, let me go check. Yeah, you could perhaps cast Frost Wall with a cast on freeze, because the shield throw does have some elemental damage already. You could potentially go for crits and try and cast on crit. You could do cast on elemental damage as well. There are quite a few options. For what it's worth, this is unrelated to this. This is related to the monk. I forgot that cast while channeling exists. Does cast while channeling exist? Cast while channeling appears to exist. So that could be an interesting thing to add to that monk build. But that is unrelated to this very cool looking shield that I might try to make something of. Thanks for watching. One day I'm going to release a build guide, and it'll shock the world. Not like with its quality or anything with that, just the fact that I'm going to make like 12 videos in a row that say this is not a build guide, and then one build guide, and I'm going to be shamed back into silence.